This is Brother Jamal coming to you. This is like part two of the maintaining justice. We did a small segment on part one, maintaining justice. This is part two of maintaining justice, and we just wanted to share with you about what Bismillah Hakim, what Allah tells us about in order to maintain justice between the people. When you judge between the people, you have to judge with fairness. That's Allah says that's a noble commandment from Allah to you. So we have to judge with fairness, and we were just giving some examples of the things that are going on and how there's no fairness. When you look at the kind of attacks and the assaults and murders and hate crimes that's directed towards black people as we speak. I mean, seriously, I cannot stress this enough. Once again, when you look at the attacks, the kind of assaults, the kind of murder and hate crimes that's directed at black people, black youth, black boys, black girls, black men, black women, even black older people, you see it happening all across the board. And so, where's the fairness at? See, if we are all going to maintain any kind of peace, then you got to have justice / fairness. Any kind of deliberation that you have, and you know what's interesting about all of these assaults and attacks and hate crimes? This is something that has been captured by the social media, and still. Even with that, there's a denial that acts as if this stuff is not happening. But I always go back to my main source of what I always say to you, that people attack, they assault, they murder, they practice all these hate crimes towards black people because there's a thinking, as it was in the past, as it still is today. There's a thinking that black people are not human. So if they are not human, then you treat them like they're not human. You treat them less than being human beings, you know? This is the thinking. So when you see the kind of hate crimes, the kind of assault, the kind of attacks that's taking place today in today's time, this is what the thinking is. Let me also say this too. People begin to talk about the organization and the whole idea of the movement. Now, it would be different if this was the first time that these hate crimes and the assaults and the attacks on black people arrived. But this is the first time I could see, first time out the gate I could see you doing that. But understand me, hear me real clear. These hate crimes, these assaults, these attacks, these murders of black people have been going on for quite some time. But this is the first time that America has had to face the reality of this thing hitting them right square in the face. There's been a denial all this time of the hate crimes, the assault, the attacks upon black people. That's been a denial. That's been a state of denial. All of a sudden, the state of affairs is where this is brought to America's face, full circle. It's brought to America's face, and it's like right in your face. And the fact that you've had 18 countries around the world who are in solidarity with what's happening to black people in this country to say, look, we know what's going on with the black citizens in America. We know what's going on. We see what's happening. We know how they have been treated, how they have been murdered, they've been brutalized, they've been attacked, they've been assaulted. We see this. See, 18 countries around the world have recognized this and spoke out and had massive protests and demonstrations about this in solidarity. So, as I said, this is something that just didn't happen all of a sudden. We see the situation happening with police murdering black people. This is something that they've been doing for quite some time. I can go back to the early 1960s, 1950s, you know, where you had the police, corrupt police departments who have been infiltrated with these white supremacist groups. And mind you, back in the day, it was the same thing. The reason that nothing was never done back in the day, because most of the people that was in law enforcement, they held positions, they were all belonged to the hate groups, or they belonged to the White Citizen Council, which was connected. All these groups were connected to each other. And these were the groups, these were the people who were murdering, attacking, assaulting, practicing hate crimes against black people. And so you have the same thing today. So many people are saying and thinking all of these police departments now, all they are doing is carrying out the thinking and carrying out the assault and the attack of the hate groups, because these are the people who have infiltrated inside the police departments all across America. And so this is what we have going on. I wanted to mention to you about the young lady that was murdered in Tallahassee, Florida. She was a activist in the movement, 19 years of age. They found her body where she had been murdered, you know, because of her activity, because of what she was doing, what she stood for. This is what you see going on. We say to the young people and to the youth, it's extremely important that you keep this movement going, that you keep it alive, that you keep the pressure up, you continue to protest, rally, demonstrate, march, you know, whatever. It's important that you do this. The other thing I want to encourage the protesters is too, any of these corrupt cops, once you find out their names, get their addresses, you need to take the rally, the protest, the march, the demonstration, take it right to their house. If they continue to assault and murder people like they're doing, then you need to take it right to the house, expose them, put them on Front Street. If you see them out in the public, they need to be exposed. They need to be confronted in the public for the crimes that they have committed, for the corruption that that is going on. And these police unions that they have, all that they do is they act as a buffer for these corrupt police officers. That's all they do. They act as a buffer for the corruption and the corrupt police officers. That's all the police union do. They don't do anything else. For all those people out there who support and stand by law enforcement, well, let me just say to you that this movement against social injustice, this movement against oppression, this movement against institutionalized racism, so many of the institutions that we now see that the cover is being snatched off of them have been practicing institutionalized racism for so long, have been practicing. So many of the institutions in this country and still have institutionalized racism. It's going on. Have racist policies. See, this is going on inside America. So how can you talk about having any kind of peace? How can you even utter the words out of your mouth when there's injustice that's still going on? See? And some people seem to think, regardless of what your color, what your nationality is, where you stay, how much money you make, you know, how many cars you got, what's the size of your house. I'm not knocking that. But don't be so rushed. Don't be in a hurry to want all this to stop. Because I hear people saying, you know, when they gonna stop? When they gonna do this? When are they gonna stop with injustice? That's the question you need to be asking yourself. For all those people who are in such a rush and criticizing the movement, criticizing the protest, criticizing young people, ask yourself the simple question, if you can. When are they going to stop injustice? When are they going to stop murdering black people? When are they going to stop assaulting, attacking, you know, practicing these hate crimes? That's what you should be asking yourself. I know that's a bigger question. That's a bigger picture that you have to deal with. But that's the question you should be asking yourself. When are they going to stop practicing, stop carrying out social injustice? When are they going to stop carrying out oppression? When are they going to stop carrying out institutionalized racism? Because those are the questions that's on the table. See? And if you can't answer those and you constantly criticizing the movement, criticizing young people because they protesting and demonstrating and picketing and going to jail, all of that's part of the movement. See, all of it. If you can't, just as quick as you are able to criticize the protesters, I raise one simple question to you. Are you that quick to raise the same question with these corrupt cops and ask the same question? When are they going to stop carrying out social injustice? When is injustice going to stop? If you ask the same question about the protesters, when they going to stop? Enough is enough. Then ask the same question about police corruption. See, when are they going to stop murdering black people? When are they going to stop assaulting and attacking and practicing hate crimes? If you ask the same question about the protesters, ask the same question. Once again, you cannot have any kind of peace. There will not be any peace. There should not be any peace if there's no justice. See? And as I said, my theme has been and continue to be, if you want this to end so, if you want the protests and the demonstrations, the marches and whatever to end, why don't you talk to your people about injustice if you want it to end so? See? Talk to them about injustice. Talk to them about practicing fairness and maintaining justice. If you are to maintain justice, this is a serious question, and the Holy Quran talks about this, where Allah is commanding justice, maintaining justice. He commands us to maintain justice. And He says to us, if you are going to maintain justice, do you know how you have to maintain it with fairness? And nowhere along the way, nowhere along the lines have America practiced fairness with the attacks, with the assaults, with the hate crimes, murdering black people. Nowhere has there been any kind of fairness. Even when it's social media is picking all of this up, the hate crimes, the assault, the attacks upon black people. Do you know some people will still want to come up with an excuse for these crooked cops? Some people want to still come up with an excuse why they doing what they do. There's no excuse for it. See, that's the thing. If you're concerned about fairness, there's no excuse for it. If you are so concerned about having justice, there's no excuse for the injustice, social injustice that's going on now as we speak. There's no excuse for oppression. There is no excuse for institutionalized racism. No excuse. The only excuse is these people continue to look at black people as we speak as not being human. That's the only thing they see. Black people as not being human. We don't cry. We don't bleed. We don't shed tears. We don't do that. We have no emotions. That's how you look at someone that's not human. And that's how black people are viewed today, July the 2nd, 2020. Black people are viewed today as being not human beings. So someone that you consider to not be a human being, you treat them in the worstest way. You treat them just inhumane. That's how you treat that person. And so this is what we see happening. Once again, this has been part 2 of maintaining justice. Once again, Allah tells us, commands us, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, that if we're going to maintain justice, it has to be practiced with fairness. If we're going to judge between people, it said people. Don't say no particular color. It don't say if somebody's superior and the other people are supposed to be inferiority, a inferiority complex of superiority. It doesn't say that. It says if we are going to maintain justice, when you judge between people, that's a big word, people. It doesn't say black people, don't say white people, don't say brown, yellow, don't say any distinct color. It just say if you're going to judge between people, then your judging will have to be done with fairness. If it is not done with fairness, there should not be no peace. There will not be any peace. Once again, you've been listening to this segment, part 2, Maintaining Justice.